13 News Now begins with breaking news.
And right now, police in Hampton are responding after we're told a woman was shot several times.
It happened on Lynnhaven Drive, just a few blocks from an elementary school less than 90 minutes ago.
13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd is on the way to the scene right now, and we're going to bring you a live update as soon as we can.
I hope he's okay for all of us because we couldn't be where we are without Zulu.
A Virginia Beach family is emotionally drained after their dog was shot, and the dog is owned by a Virginia Beach police officer. Now Zulu is on the road to recovery.
Over the weekend, 4 people tried to break into the officer's home. That's when the dog chased them and was shot. 13 News Now reporter Stephen Graves joins us live from Blue Pearl Veterinary Partners with an update on what happened.
Hey guys, yeah, today that officer actually updated us on the case and said all 4 people are in custody. We're still working to find out their identities, but in terms of Zulu, this dog who the officer credits for saving his family's lives, well, he's doing well. And take a look at this picture though that was taken when he was first at the vet here. This was after he was shot once. Now that officer says multiple shots were actually fired, one only hit Zulu. Now he described that 7:30 around in the evening on Sunday when this happened, he says he was woken up to a loud bang on the door. Zulu stepped into action, scaring the burglars off. Now after surgery today, Zulu, he was up and walking, even with bandages on. The officer and his wife says the whole ordeal is still traumatizing. Their 12-year-old daughter, who was in the home at the time, is taking this the hardest.
I actually grabbed my police radio and went right over the air.
It wasn't until I started to walk into my home that I saw, blood.
Yes.
And it was very scary seeing that.
So really emotional right now. Now the couple is actually slammed with financial costs with this surgery, unexpected during the holidays. They're asking for anyone to help. They can donate at Blue Pearl here in Virginia Beach, the veterinarian. Now, once again, a 17-year-old was arrested in the case. We're still working to find out the identities of the other people. In the meantime, it was a happy reunion though here, and we're going to show you much more of that coming up in the next hour here on 13 News Now. Reporting live in Virginia Beach, I'm Stephen Graves, 13 News Now.
But get ready soon, another dip is coming.
Yeah, Jeff is tracking a cold front that will have us reaching for our winter coats.
Yeah, and we're going to start to feel the effects of it tomorrow around sunrise, roughly, give or take a couple hours, depending on your location. That front is going to go through. It'll bring the falling temperatures, and it'll bring some rain as well. There's nothing out there right now. We do have rain in the short-term forecast, though. I'm going to talk about that. Right now, though, we are at 62 degrees, hazy sunshine. It's not that brilliant deep blue sky. In fact, you can see it in the background there, a little bit of haze sort of out there. No wind to speak of, and a dew point right now low enough that the humidity is only in the 40s. So later tonight, though, we're going to see the front approaching. That's why we don't get terribly cold tonight, because we're out ahead of an approaching cold front. Cold fronts mean you get cold behind them. Out ahead of them, you tend to warm up, and you can see that in the next 6 hours. We're just going to drop here back through the low 50s, and maybe a few spots eventually make it into the upper 40s tomorrow. But for the most part, it will be milder than normal overnight by 10 to 15 degrees. But then by tomorrow afternoon, we will be colder than normal as the readings go right back in the other direction. So right now, again, that high thin cloud deck starting to move in. It will get thicker and thicker through the day tomorrow. We'll have a rain outlook as well. I'll discuss that coming up.
All right, thanks, Jeff. We have a shooting out of Hampton. It happened on Lynnhaven Drive, just a few blocks from an elementary school.
All right, 13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd joins us live. Robert.
Well, we're being told that this started as a domestic violence situation. Police responded to a scene where basically you had 2 adults, one of them and a woman, both with guns firing at one another right here on Lynnhaven Drive. When police arrived, they found a woman shot multiple times outside a home. She was taken to the hospital right now. Life-threatening injuries is what we're being told. And again, this started as a shots fired call, but it escalated very quickly. Police are not sure the exact relationship between the 2 people involved. resolved, but somehow an argument ensued. The argument got heated. Both people in the argument again had guns, and they were firing at one another. One adult woman was hit. The other person who was firing has been detained by police, not arrested at this point, but basically being questioned right now to figure out exactly what transpired out here. Again, this all took place 2:45 in the afternoon. A lot of people around. Very fortunate no stray bullets may have hit any innocent people, any innocent neighbors. And right now, again, police just very beginning of this investigation, trying to figure out what transpired out here on Lynnhaven Drive. I will continue to monitor this situation throughout the afternoon, and as we get new information, we will, of course, bring it to you. Live in Hampton, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
A third person is in custody for the deadly double shooting in Gloucester Point. 26-year-old Charlie Riley is charged with a felony as accessory after the fact. Earlier, deputies arrested Amanda Epps and Kenneth Miller. The sheriff's office says the suspects are charged with first-degree murder. The charges stem from the deaths of Alini Wright and Bonnet and Helga Frost. Both died after being shot on Bellhaven Drive last Monday.
2 people are in the hospital after a car was submerged in water early this morning. Happened on General Booth Boulevard near the Virginia Aquarium boat ramp. 13 News Now reporter Elise Brown spoke to an aquarium employee who saw the entire thing unfold.
2 people in the frigid water, a submerged car, and a dive team.
I heard what at the time I thought was a woman crying and wailing.
Not an average day for Tim Carroll, who works at the Virginia Aquarium. He called police for help around 12:30 this morning. Carroll then grabbed his flashlight and tried to find out where that sound was coming from around the boat ramp. Police arriving at the same time.
Sure enough, there was a guy clinging to the pilings under the dock, and then a little ways from him was another body floating in the water face down.
Carroll says police convinced the man holding onto the pilings to climb out of the water using a ladder.
He was crying, wailing, clearly in shock.
For the night security officer, what happened next was instinct.
Well, I was going to go in with the officer, and he said, no, I got it.
So he continued to shine light so police could get the man out. He says one of the officers took off all of his equipment as he went into the water.
Another officer came up with a rope, and so they both went out and grabbed the guy.
Carroll still processing the emotional morning, playing a key role in getting the men to safety and in the hands of doctors.
Just doing my job. That's it.
You went above and beyond your job today.
Well, I would hope that somebody would do it for me.
In Virginia Beach, Elise Brown, 13 News Now.
The Ohio man accused of driving into a crowd protesting the white nationalist rally in Charlottesville was indicted on 10 felony counts, including first-degree murder. Prosecutors say James Fields drove into the counter-protesters the day of the rally. Heather Heyer was killed, and authorities say 35 people were injured. Charlottesville's city attorney is stepping down. Craig Brown led the city's legal response to lawsuits over the rally and the efforts to remove 2 Confederate monuments. He will leave the position at the end of January. The police chief, Alfred Thomas, retired yesterday.
Startling new details in the Amtrak train derailment that killed 3 and injured several others south of Seattle. And one victim has been identified as an employee of a local transit agency and a rail advocate.
Officials say the train was going 80 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone yesterday. Now the NTSB is looking into if the Amtrak engineer was distracted. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has the latest on the ongoing investigation.
Those crumpled and ripped apart rail cars lifted by cranes onto flatbeds and hauled from the scene of Monday's deadly Amtrak accident.
Amtrak 501, emergency. We are on the ground.
Amtrak 501 was traveling from Seattle to Portland on the inaugural run of a new, faster rail service, rounding a curve over Interstate 5 in DuPont, Washington, when it derailed.
People are flying, you're like, oh my God, this is real.
Investigators now say the train was going well over twice the speed limit, 80 miles an hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone.
That is crazy.
Rail cars sent spilling over the overpass, some crashing onto the busy highway during the morning rush, crushing 7 vehicles.
Oh my God, that train is derailed over the freeway.
Commuters jumping from their vehicles to help.
One of the trains had tipped upside down and kind of spilled the passengers out, and then the train came down on top of them. When people are pinned under the train, I grabbed the dude's hand and was like rubbing his back, and I was just like, I'm so impressed by you. You're a champion. Like, just talking to him.
More than 70 people injured, 3 on board the train killed. Among them, transit employee Zach Wilhoit.
We also have crew members who have survived, and so interviewing them to understand what was going on immediately prior to the derailment is going to be very important for the investigators.
And the NTSB says their investigators will be out here for at least a week, not only piecing together exactly what happened here, but working to make recommendations on how to keep accidents like this from happening again. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, DuPont, Washington.
Well, after that train near Seattle was found going more than 40 miles per hour over the speed limit, we wanted to look at transportation speeds right here in Hampton Roads. The tide extends more than 7 miles throughout Norfolk and services more than 4,500 people on average each day. It travels up to 55 miles an hour, traveling between crosswalks, traffic signals, and people throughout the city. So we wanted to know what measures are in place to prevent something like that tragic train derailment from happening here.
Street supervisors assist in maintaining the consistent speeds, and we do that with radar guns to make sure the operators are running at the appropriate speed in the appropriate block. They'll do this outside of the train and sometimes board the train without the operator knowing.
Well, HRT also said operator training and a block system in which the train operator is notified when there's something along the track keeps the light rail system running smoothly.